Hey guys, it's Christina coming to you all with a new video, and today I'm going to be doing the social networking book tag. I was tagged by Kiana from Key Read That and etc. And I just want to say thank you for tagging me, and I really enjoy your videos and I'm so excited to do this tag. Let's get started. So the first social network is Twitter, and it says, a book you want to share with the world. A book that I would like to share with the world is Just Listen by Sarah Dessen, and I stated in one of my other videos that Sarah Dessen is one of my all-time favorite authors. And I'm such a big fan of Sarah Dessen and her writing because usually when I found out about her books or I decided to read them, it was a crucial time in my teenage years, and I felt like I related a lot to the characters, and this is one of the books that I felt I really related to at that moment in time. So Just Listen is about this girl named Annabelle who is in high school, and her situation is that she has a problem with confronting others and telling people what she really wants or how she really feels. So before the new school year starts, Annabelle, who is in high school, basically is by herself and she's alone due to the events that happened over the summer. And her issue is that she has a problem with confronting others and basically being truthful and saying how she really feels and what she really wants. For example, Annabelle is a model and she's pretty famous in her small town for being a model, but she doesn't want to do it anymore. But her mom is pressuring her to stick with it because her older sister wasn't modeling and her middle sister wasn't modeling, but she isn't really interested and she doesn't find modeling fun anymore. So later on, Annabelle ends up meeting this guy named Owen who owns his own radio show, and the thing that attracts Annabelle to Owen is that he tells it like it is. And she admires that so much because she has, this problem with telling people the truth and how she feels and just doing what she wants to do. And a lot of that comes from the events, which I'm not going to say because that kind of tells the whole story from the book, but because of the events that happened to her before the new school year, it has really hindered her from telling the truth and basically expressing herself. So she ends up bonding with Owen, and she finds it really admirable. Every teenager has that weird stage where it's like, I don't know who I am, and I feel conflicted because it's like, this is who I am, but I have this pressure to be someone that I'm not. And I really related to this book, and I always recommend any teenager and any young adult to read this. I really love this book, and I always recommend people to read this at least one time. That's all you gotta do, is hear it one time. So the next social network is Facebook. A book you really enjoyed that was recommended by someone else. A book that was recommended to me was Divergent, and I think that this book wasn't recommended to me by someone that was close to me, but I think it was actually recommended to me from Goodreads. So we're introduced to this girl named Beatrice, and it is a post-apocalyptic book, and basically once you hit a certain age you get this test that you have to go through, and it decides what faction you belong in, and I think it's abnegation, dauntless, amity, erudite, and dauntless. Beatrice finds out that she is 3 of the fractions: dauntless, erudite, and amity, and basically that means she's divergent, and being divergent is not a good thing. So instead of expressing to her family that she's divergent, because being a divergent means you end up on the streets and you're homeless and you don't have a faction that you belong to, she ends up joining the dauntless faction. She ends up joining the dauntless faction, and she ends up trying to suppress who she really is, and I really enjoyed it. My favorite social networking site, Tumblr. A book you read before booktube but haven't raved much about on booktube. I don't know if you would call this cheating or not, but I couldn't choose between 2 books, so I'm just going to show you 2 of them. The very first one is P.S. I Love You by Cecilia Ahern, and this book is so good. I really enjoyed reading this book. When I get my hands on a book that I just like, I can't put down, like I just have to read it like for every minute and every second of every hour, I know that it's a really good book. And I'm pretty sure that everyone has either read the book P.S. I Love You or has seen the movie P.S. I Love You. So P.S. I Love You is about this girl named Holly, and well, not a girl, but a woman named Holly, and she ends up losing her husband to a brain tumor, and I think his name is Gary or whatever. So she ends up losing him to a brain tumor, and she's like in the midst of like dealing with his loss. And on her 30th birthday, she is delivered, I think, a cake and some letters, and these letters consist of like meaningful thoughts and inspirations and stuff from Gary, who has passed away. And he did all this stuff before he died because he knew he was going to die, but he wanted to leave Holly with something to help her like basically cope with everything and help her to move on to the future and basically rediscover who she really is. And the next book is, surprise, surprise, another Sarah Dessen book, and it is Dreamland. So Dreamland is one of Sarah Dessen's most darkest novels because it deals with physical abuse within relationships. And I feel like this was one of the novels that I think I related to the most, even though I've never been in a physical abusive relationship or anything like that. The way that the main character, Caitlin, deals with like self-consciousness and what she goes through as a teenager and what leads her into this abusive relationship is, you know, it's so scary because some of the traits that she carries are traits that I see in like myself and many other teenagers, and it's like a thin line between like what, you know, is acceptable and what's not acceptable in a relationship. I really love this book, and I could reread this over and over and over again because I feel like it's not only a novel to enjoy, but it's also a very deep message that needs to be read from everyone. Taking it back to Myspace. So Myspace, a book you don't plan on rereading. Instagram, a book with a gorgeous picture-worthy cover. So because these books are a series, I just decided to show the 3 that I have right now. And it's by Elizabeth Chandler, and it's the Dark Secret series. And the stories are in no way a correlation with every book. There are different stories in each book, and like this one has 2 stories. This one has 3 stories, and this one has 2 stories. And I just love the simplicity of it, and the stories are written very beautiful as well too. And this is the first one that I read, which was Kissed by an Angel, and I really loved this book. So it's Kissed by an Angel, Dark Secrets 1, and Dark Secrets 2. YouTube, a book you wish would be made into a movie. Sorry guys, I really love Sarah Dessen. So this is a book by Sarah Dessen, and this was probably, I think this was actually the first book that I read by Sarah Dessen. So The Truth About Forever is basically about this girl named Macy, and she lost her father in some type of physical accident. Like I think they were running, and she basically witnessed her father die right in front of her eyes. So over the summer she's trying to cope with this like loss, and her mother's not that helpful because she doesn't want to talk about it that much. Her boyfriend isn't helpful either because over an email she tries to basically express her feelings, and he ends up breaking up with her by saying like, I think we need to separate, I think we both need time apart. It's a douchebag move. So all these different problems lead her to this catering company where she finds this guy named Wes. He's kind of afraid of basically doing stuff off of what she thinks is right or what she feels because she doesn't want to get hurt. And Wes is very similar to Macy in a way that they're both in this like kind of complicated relationship, and they've both been through some things. Like, the basis of the story is that things don't always last. You have to enjoy the moment, and you have to really live for who you are instead of trying to figure out or worry about what everybody else is thinking or saying or doing, and just do whatever makes you happy. And reading this as a teenager helped me get through a lot a lot of things. Oh, and I also forgot to mention the very first book, Just Listen. A book that is very similar to that is Speak. So the very last social media, Skype. A book with characters that you wish you could talk to instead of just reading about. Okay, so this is really hard because every single book that I come across that I really enjoy or that I love or I find is like one of my favorite books, I feel like I always want to meet the characters, and especially the characters that I can either relate to or we've been in the same type of social situation. I choose Gingerbread by Rachel Cohn. This book I reread so many times in middle and high school, and I found Sid, who is the main character, so amazing. She's this gothic, and I think she lives in like California or something, but I love her personality. She has this I don't care, I'm gonna do what I want kind of attitude, and I always admire that in people, which can either be like a love-hate thing, but I admire it because basically you're living your life the way that you want to, and whatever choice you make, you know, you deal with it, but it's, you know, a choice that you made because it made you happy. So yeah, I would love to, you know, meet Sid, because I really admire her, and I really recommend this book. I'm not really going to explain that much, but I will leave a link to all of the books that I mentioned down below so that you can check them out. And yeah, that's all. And I'm going to tag a couple of people in the little comment section because I don't know how to do it in the description box. So yeah, thank you all for watching this video. Have an awesome day. Bye guys.